right, welcome to today's episode of Tomorrow's Leader, where we dive deep on all things leader related to leading yourself and leading others. I am John Laurito, your host, with you today. And joining me today in the background is my landscaping crew right outside the window. Yes, they are. Waited for them to shift a little and move, but you know what? I appreciate what they're doing. I love them. They're a great team. And so they're joining me on the podcast. So if you hear that nice, relaxing hum in the background, I just recorded another episode and they were part of that one too. That's the background music that's being supplied to you today by the landscaping crew. Boy, I wish I remembered the name of the company, but anyways, good guys, very good guys. Okay, so I want to share a quick story, quick episode today, and it has to do with messages and how clear we are with messages. And this just experience made me realize, wow, you almost forget what happens when messages are not clear. So I do a spin class every Thursday morning with my training partner, Jeff. And he and I dread this class because the teacher of the class, Brian, is just an evil bastard. He really is. He's very in shape. He lives, eats, breathes biking. He is an outstanding bicyclist, cyclist, and athlete in general. He looks great, and great personality, great looking dude, incredible strength, physique, and so obviously we don't like him. But he teaches a class that's really painful, and that's also why we don't like him. So we like the effects, we just don't like going there. So to be very honest with you, I dread Thursday mornings. I really do. I start thinking about it Wednesday night, and I'm like, God, just because the class, it's tough. I know Jeff says the same thing. So if he's out there listening, which I know he is, he'll corroborate my message. So in any event, we show up one Thursday morning. This was, I think, last week or the week before, and it was a different teacher. This teacher, I think her name was Melissa. Melissa was filling in for Brian, who was, I think, competing somewhere, doing a race. So he was out. So, you always have, every teacher has a different style and everything like that. And I noticed right away that this teacher, aside from having a different style, she had her own microphone, and it was very hard to understand. And you got music playing and everything like that. And I'm just trying to pay attention, because the teacher, if you've been in a spin class, they're leading you through all the different intervals, and here's what we're doing. We're doing strength. We're doing stamina. We're turn it to the right and whatever. Here's what your cadence should be. And I'm trying to listen and pay attention, and I can't for the life of me understand what she's saying. Like, more than half of what she was saying sounded like it was, and it was just mumbling. And I was so frustrated because I try so hard to listen. I would look at other people. They were confused because I couldn't tell who was in motion and who wasn't, and what they were. Are we in a rest period? Are we, supposed to be pushing it hard? The bottom line is, I got done with a workout, and I met up with Jeff after the class. He said, "Hey, what'd you think of the teacher?" And I said, I hated her. And I'm like, I obviously didn't hate her personally, but I hated the experience because it was so frustrating. And because I could not understand her, what she was saying, I totally became very frustrated. I disengaged. I didn't even try to listen after a period of time. And I did my own thing. And, you can tell how good of a workout it is. You can tell what your what's it called? Not your RPMs, but I know somebody will text me and tell me what it is. But you're basically out at your not watts, but I don't know, maybe it is watts. Anyway, your force that you're putting into it, so you can kind of tell what kind of workout you got. And it was just not even close to my best workout. And it made me frustrated, and really frustrated at her, because I'm like, all right, you're the leader in this class. And I it's up to me though, right? It's my workout. I own how hard I work. I could have engaged and been more, energized and worked harder through the class, but I didn't because I was frustrated, and my frustration turned to anger and resentment. And that anger, resentment went toward her because I was counting on her to give me the experience that Brian gave me and his leadership, which was excellent. And because I couldn't understand what she said, I just was confused, frustrated, and then resentful. And then as Jeff asked me, what did I think of her? I said, I hate her. It became personal, right? Which is totally unjustified. It's not a personal attack on her, but that's what happens. And we have to remind ourselves as a leader, this is the leadership message in this. How clear are your messages? How clear are you with what you are saying? And let me just run something by you. There are times where you think you are clear. You may think you're crystal clear, and people don't understand what you're saying. And part of this is because our brain and our mouth do not always operate in perfect synchronicity. I could have many things in my brain some of which don't come out of my mouth. I could have in my mind a certain way that I want to say something, but when it comes out of my mouth, I might use hedge words. I might use one little word that changes the entire message. Because when I'm in that situation, whether I'm reading non-verbal body language or verbal language that tells me, okay, maybe I need to change this. It's kind of like when I'm putting for some reason and I'm playing golf, I have this really weird habit. I'll line up the putt perfectly. I'll get the club face square. It's aimed right at the right spot. And as I'm pulling it back, I second guess myself and I change the angle of my club head right as I'm about to hit the ball. And inevitably I jerk it left or put it out there to the right. It happens so much. It's so frustrating. And that's why you don't hear me breaking any records on the golf course. But the same is true for how we communicate. Sometimes we have a perfect message in our mind and then we misread or read somebody and we change it, or we look at the audience and we change the message. And then in doing that, at that on the fly moment, it becomes not the message we want, or very confusing or unclear or garbled. And that is what happens. What happened to me is what happens to your people. They become confused. They become frustrated. They become then resentful because I just don't understand. And then they disengage. And disengaged people in a workplace or an organization are absolutely deadly for you and for them. When they disengage, that's not doing them any good, and they're ultimately going to check out. So part of this just comes down to clarity of message and being really crystal clear on what you are trying to get across. Is this a message where I'm trying? And again, I've talked about this in past episodes. I'm always going through my mind. Think, feel, do. If I have a message, what do I want this person thinking as a result of this? How do I want them feeling? And what do I want them doing as a result of it? Think, feel, do. Okay, what does my message need to sound like to get them to think, feel, and do what my goal is? That's key. If I'm giving somebody a tough message, I need to let them know that. I can't butter it up too much as this great message and then they don't get the point. If I'm disappointed with somebody, I got to say that. Hey, listen, I got to tell you, I don't question your intent, but I'm really disappointed with what has happened in this situation. My expectations were here. You came in here. Here's why. And here's what I observed specifically that makes me feel that way. Think about the whole message model, which I've gone through in past episodes, and you can search that and see that one. That's a great model. My thoughts, feelings, actions, observations, thoughts, feelings, actions. Here's what I saw. Here's what it makes me think and feel. And here's what I expect in terms of actions. That's a great model to make sure you've got clear communication. But think about this. If you can say something, it's interesting because editors of movies are exceptionally valuable because their responsibility is to bubble up to the watcher, the movie watcher, what are the critical parts of this movie? And in order to do that, they have to eliminate the non-essentials. They have to eliminate the fluff and the things that aren't going to contribute to the message, the think, feel, do, right? And that's the editor's job. And it's not always about removing words, but if you can say something in 2 sentences, why say it in 5? Okay, in reality, if you can say something in 2 words, why say it in 5 words? If you can do it and communicate, shorter is always better. It's going to be more impactful. I've seen people that go on and on and on and on and on, and ultimately they just either repeat the message or make it too cloudy or confusing. That's why some of my podcasts have been 4 minutes. Listen, I got something to say. I'm going to share it. When I'm done, I'm done. I don't follow a structure of every podcast has to be 20 minutes or 30 minutes, or every interview has to be an hour. Listen, when I feel like I've communicated what I want to communicate in the right way, and sometimes I need to recycle through it in a couple different examples of a point or tell a story to emphasize a point. But when I've communicated what I want to communicate, great, done. I used to be at a point in my career where it was like every meeting had to be, we blocked off a half an hour. It had to last a half an hour. We couldn't end early. If it was an hour, it's got to be an hour. Well, let's figure out what we got to put in here to fill up the time. What? That's not how life works. That's the biggest waste. And if you're in that type of organization and you're the leader running it, you're to blame. If you're not, you got to tell your leader, listen, I think we can do this hour meeting in half an hour, and here's how. And believe me, I've been on the delivery side of those hour meetings that could have been in a half an hour. And I look back now, I'm like, what was I thinking? It was just literally a time suck for everybody. And I could have gotten it done much shorter. Why not? If a meeting can be 7 minutes, why not do a meeting for 7 minutes? Why keep everybody there for 15 or 20 or whatnot, or 30 or 40 or an hour? Why? All you're doing is you're taking something that could be positive and making it negative and frustrating everybody, and ultimately having this negative ripple effect. Okay? Be clear and be concise. The 2 C's, clear and concise. Concise, concise, concise. All right? You get it? All right, got it. Okay. As always, please, I mentioned this in the last episode, please go review this podcast. I'll make the same offer I did in the last podcast. The first 5 people, I'm recording these episodes on October 5th. The first 5 people that go on there and review, I will send you a personalized, autographed copy of my book, Tomorrow's Leader, on me, no charge. I will send it to you, Tomorrow's Leader, How the Best Leaders Become Better in a Fast-Changing World. That's how important your feedback is and your reviews. It changes the analytics. It gets in front of more people. It expands the audience, and that's something that's important to me. I want this to get out there. I want these stories and these examples and leadership topics and techniques to get in the hands of leaders all over the place. We're in 66 different countries, which is phenomenal. Let's expand that base of fans of Tomorrow's Leader, just like you, to other people that could use this valuable info. So thank you for listening. Thank you for being a loyal fan. As always, share, like, subscribe, and go down below and give a 5-star review. Thanks. Have a good one.